Mark Rogers TV getting you set for Oklahoma football with spring practice just about 2 to 3 weeks away. We, of course, bring in Graham Dudley from Crimson and Cream Machine. We're breaking down positions unit by unit. We stop at the offensive line, Graham, and everybody thinks about prolific offense. Okay, who's at wide receiver? Who's running the show at quarterback? Sure, we had those two great running backs, but it all starts with the offensive line, and if they're not fortified up front, then none of the rest of it happens, and you seem to be in pretty good shape, not just what we saw last season in controlling. My last look at Oklahoma football, as was the case with everybody else watching college football, was in the Sugar Bowl, controlling one of the better defensive fronts in college football in Auburn, and I think most of those guys are coming back.
Exactly, Mark. Yeah, you said that the rest of the Oklahoma offense, the skill positions, if you will, get a ton of attention, and rightfully so. But it all starts with that offensive line, and they really had an excellent season last year, especially after the Ohio State game. During the Ohio State game, Cody Ford went down with injury, and he was a starting guard. And people thought, what's going to happen to this unit? And it really ended up pulling together and having a really strong, solid season. We had even a walk-on, Eric Wren, come in and take the starting center job. And he did an amazing job and really became the anchor of that line, along with guys like Drew Samia and Ben Powers. And then, of course, the biggest name on the line is our left tackle, Orlando Brown. And he is an NFL prospect who we're really excited to have back this season. He's a young guy. He gets a few too many personal foul penalties for Oklahoma fans' liking, I know, but he plays with a fire and a passion. And he's exactly what you want in your left tackle position. So, Oklahoma's going to bring back all five guys who were on the line, who were starting on the line last year. And that's going to be a great place to start, especially as we replace our running backs and, kind of try to feel our way through that position in the early part of the season. We're going to know that we have a great offensive line to put in front of them. So that's going to be a huge help.
All right, past those starting five, unfortunately, typically somebody gets hurt. You typically need 6 or 7 guys unless all hell breaks loose and you need to really go to the depth chart. But in looking at some of the guys that have played in recent years or are in that depth chart, or maybe even in the 2017 class, I see that you bring in a center who may not get some playing time this year, but should prove to be in the mix at some point, who's a top 3 player at his position in Creed Humphrey. And anybody else that we need to know about that could prove to be crucial at some point?
Well, the other two 2017 recruits that we got on the offensive line, the other 3 are Tyrese Robinson, Marquise Hayes, and Adrian Ely. And I think Ely does have a chance to slide into that rotation. And then, I guess you're looking at guys like Ashton Julius. And other than that, it's Christian Daimler, I guess, could get some time. Quinn Niedermeyer, I know, did take some snaps last season. I guess you would say it is a little bit thin after that first starting 5, which I guess could be a little bit concerning. But we do have a little extra depth on the interior of the line. There's really 4 or 5 guys fighting over 3 positions there in that front line, that we have that basic rotation. I know that Alex Dalton got a lot of snaps last season, even though he didn't start most of the time. So all that being said, I think that if we were to lose 2 guys in the early season, that could be a problem for the Sooners. But again, the starters we're really comfortable with. It's just a matter of finding that real second unit who could step up in case of emergency.
You mentioned Robinson and Hayes. Robinson, 8th rated guard according to 247 Sports out of Texas, and Hayes a top 20 guard as well out of Missouri. And it's really a great position to be in, Graham. Most of the guys that I talk to that talk about their teams once we get to the offensive line, it's just difficult because there have been injuries, there have been issues, there are guys moving on to the next level or graduating, and there's a lot to be sorted through in spring ball and getting into August in terms of who is going to be our best unit, because unlike any other unit on the field, even linebacker, there's some chemistry that has to work out there, some moving parts, but not anything close to the offensive line. You can't just go with the 5 best guys. Sometimes you have to go with what is going to be the best unit and the guys in the best places along the line. And it's a great position to be in there at Oklahoma, where, you know, these are our 5, and they're all solid. We don't have any gaps. We don't have any weaknesses in the chain, and we're good to go.
Exactly. I mean, I think Eric Wren is a great example. Like I said, the guy who was originally a walk-on who was able to earn starting reps at the center position last year. He's a great example of a guy who maybe wasn't the absolute best, most talented guy for that position, but you need the whole unit to work together. You need to put the 5 guys who work the best together. And I think that the Oklahoma O-line, the one that eventually found the field last year, really represented that. And great job by Bill Beatenbow to get that unit to hang together. He's our offensive line coach, of course, and I think he did a really exceptional job with the unit last season.